You know, they say when you talk to God, it's prayer, but when God talks to you, it's schizophrenia.
We fear death because we are born knowing only life, right? I get that. However, I take another view because I've been asked, if you could live forever, would you? Yes. No. Okay. Sure, that's an attractive idea. But the way I look at it, it is the knowledge that I'm going to die that creates the focus that I bring to being alive, the urgency of accomplishment, the need to express love now, not later. If we live forever, why ever even get out of bed in the morning because you always have tomorrow? That's not the kind of life I want to lead. But why don't you fear not being around? I fear living a life where I could have accomplished something and didn't. That's what I fear. I don't fear death.
Here we are on a planet that is about 5,000 million years old. The sun it orbits is not much older. It's part of a galaxy perhaps 10 or 12,000 million years old, which is one of perhaps hundreds of thousands of millions of other galaxies. None of these planets, suns, or galaxies were around at the time of the Big Bang. At that time, there was only energy and elementary particles that slowly evolved into the universe we know today. We are the product of a grand evolutionary sequence, cosmic evolution, about which we are only occasionally aware. One of Dr. Hawking's great accomplishments is to better connect us to the knowledge of this long evolutionary sequence. Many hypotheses in science are wrong, and that's perfectly acceptable. It's the pathway to finding out what's right. Science is a self-correcting process. To be accepted, new ideas must survive the most rigorous standards of evidence and scrutiny. The suppression of uncomfortable ideas may be common in religion or politics, but it is not the path to knowledge, and there's no place for it in the endeavor of science. Our ability to understand things instantly, so-called common sense, derives from a specific range of size, speed, and duration that is appropriate for human existence. We know about things from 1/10 of a millimeter to a few kilometers, from a fraction of a second to a lifetime. So when we are dealing with matters of quantum physics or cosmology, where the scale is vastly different, it is reasonable that intuition is not adequate for the task. Every human culture has a set of creation myths, but they are in the realm of mythology, religion, or folklore, and they are, of course, all mutually inconsistent. The great thing happening in our time is that we are able, through a method that can actually make some progress towards the real universe out there, to find out something about origins. This is the scientific method applied to the science of cosmology. The thing about science is, first of all, it's after the way the universe really is, not what makes us feel good. A lot of the competing doctrines are after what feels good, not what is true. I think the essence of the scientific method is the willingness to admit you're wrong, to abandon ideas that don't work. The essence of religion is not to change anything. Supposed truths are handed down by some revered figure, and then no one is supposed to make any progress beyond that because all the truth is thought to be in hand. My sense is that the scientific way of thinking, a delicate mix of creative encouragement of new ideas and the most rigorous and skeptical scrutiny of both new and old ideas, is the path to the future, not just for science but for all human institutions. We have to be willing to challenge because we are in desperate need of change. It's not that pseudoscience, superstition, so-called New Age beliefs, and fundamentalist zealotry are new. They've been with us for as long as we've been human. But we live in an age based on science and technology with formidable technological powers. Science and technology are propelling us forward at accelerating rates. If we, the general public, don't understand it, if it's something we say, "I'm not good at that, I don't know anything about it," then who is making all the decisions about science and technology that will determine what kind of future our children live in? This combustible mixture of ignorance and power is sooner or later going to blow up in our faces. Furthermore, science is more than a body of knowledge. It's a way of thinking, a way of skeptically interrogating the universe with a fine understanding of human fallibility. If we are not able to ask skeptical questions, to interrogate those who tell us that something is true, to be skeptical of those in authority, then we're vulnerable to the next charlatan, political or religious, who comes along. It's a thing that Jefferson stressed greatly. It wasn't enough, he said, to enshrine some rights in a constitution or a Bill of Rights. The people had to be educated, and they had to practice their skepticism and their education. Otherwise, we don't run the government runs us. Faith is belief in the absence of evidence. I don't propose to tell anybody what to believe, but for me, Believing when there is no compelling evidence is a mistake. The idea is to withhold belief until there is compelling evidence. If the universe does not comply with our predispositions, then we have the wrenching obligation to accommodate to the way the universe is. Religion deals with history, poetry, great literature, ethics, and morals, including the morality of treating compassionately the least fortunate among us. I endorse all of these things wholeheartedly. Where religion gets into trouble is when it pretends to know something about science. The science in the Bible, for example, was acquired by the Jews from the Babylonians during the Babylonian captivity of 600 BC. That was the best science on the planet then, but we've learned something since. Mainstream religions like Roman Catholicism, Reformed Judaism, and most Protestant denominations have no difficulty with the idea that we have evolved from other creatures, that the Earth is 4.6 billion years old, or with the Big Bang. The trouble comes from biblical literalists who believe the Bible was dictated by the creator of the universe to an unerring stenographer, and therefore has no metaphor or allegory. From there, they make their political, economic, and scientific choices. This is part of the problem. We make the wrong choices about science for the wrong reasons. So, who is more humble? The scientist who looks at the universe with an open mind and accepts whatever the universe has to teach us, or somebody who says, everything in this book must be considered the literal truth, never mind the fallibility of the human beings involved in writing it? The word God covers an enormous range of different ideas. It runs from an outsized, light-skinned male with a long white beard sitting on a throne in the sky, for which there is no evidence, to the kind of God that Einstein or Spinoza talked about, which is very close to the sum total of the laws of the universe. It would be crazy to deny that there are laws in the universe, and if that's what you want to call God, then of course God exists. Then there's the deist God that many of the founding fathers believed in, a do-nothing king, a God who creates the universe and then retires. Praying to him is pointless. If I say yes or no when asked if I believe in God, you have learned absolutely nothing. I think we need much sharper language when we ask these questions. We demand the most rigorous standards of evidence, especially for what's important to us. When a medium or channeler offers to put me in touch with my deceased parents, because I want so terribly to believe, I know I have to reach for added reserves of skepticism. I'm likely to be fooled and, on a much more minor level, have my money taken.
The planet is fine. The people are fucked. We'll be gone. Dinosaurs had their chance. There was an age of reptiles. Now it's the age of primates. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the insects next. It's not up to us. It's not divinely ordained. We're here by chance and we're going to go away. And the planet will heal. The planet will heal because that's what it does. It heals itself. It's a self-healing organism. It changes and grows. It'll incorporate all of our dead cities into itself and it will become something else, but it will still be going around the sun for at least a few more billion years or whatever. So this whole thing, we have to save the planet by not putting diapers in the landfill. That's too short-sighted. That doesn't do anything. You have to change yourself, and we'll never do that because of dollars now. Everybody wants $1 and a toy. Everybody's got a cell phone that'll make pancakes and rub their balls. Nobody wants to rock the boat. Nobody wants to change. Don't change anything, and we're in a nice downward glide. I think we squandered a great gift. I think humans were given great gifts. Walking upright, binocular vision, opposable thumbs, a large brain making tools. Make tools, large brain, make better tools. Talk, have language. You take this, put in here. We learned language, brain got bigger. Language, we grew. We had great gifts and we gave it all up for both Mammon and God. God and Mammon both. We gave it up to the high priests. It's your job. It's God's will. That's what they say. People say, it's God's will. That means God can do anything he wants, so why pray? They say you pray for something. Okay, my prayers weren't answered. Well, it's God's will. Well, if it's God's will, why did I even pray in the first place? He's going to do what he wants anyway. We gave it all up to superstition, primitive bullshit with an invisible man in the sky looking down, keeping track of what we do, making sure we don't do the wrong thing. If we do, he puts us in hell and we burn forever. That kind of bullshit is very limiting. It's very limiting for the brain we have. So we keep ourselves limited, and then we want a toy and a gizmo and gold, and we want shiny things, and we want something to plug in that'll make big things for us. And all that bullshit is nothing. It's nothing. We gave it all up. And Americans who also had great gifts, when you take the theory of democratic rules, self-government, okay, they started off wrong. They owned slaves. They didn't let women vote. They didn't let people who didn't own land vote. Fine. They got off on the wrong foot, but the ideas were good. But we fucking blew that. We polluted it. We polluted it with this stuff, things, material goods, games, gizmos, toys, gadgets, having possessions. He's got a bigger truck. His truck is bigger than mine. I'm getting a new truck. Here's a big truck. Oh, I'm getting that one. You got a video and a DVD too? You don't have a VCR? I got a DVD, please. Whatever happened and all of that is what happened, and that's why I'm divorced from it now. I see it from a distance. I gave myself a divorce. I said, George, emotionally, you have no stake in this. You don't care one way or another, so watch it, have fun. You know what? I say it this way. When you're born in this world, you're given a ticket to the freak show. And when you're born in America, you're given a front row seat. And some of us get to sit there with notebooks, and I'm a notebook guy. Oh my God, did you see that? Did you see what he just... And I watch the freak show and I take my notes and I make up stuff about it and I talk about the freaks. And the freaks are all humans and they're like me and they're all the same. We're all the same. I'm not better. I'm not different. I'm just apart now. I'm separate. I'm over here because I put myself out of the mix. I don't have a stake in the outcome. I'm not a cheerleader for a given outcome now. They say if you scratch a cynic, you'll find a disappointed idealist. And I would admit that somewhere underneath all of this, there's a little flicker of a flame of idealism that would love to see it all change, but it can't happen that way. An incremental change, it just seems like the pile of shit is too deep.
I've got to tell you the truth. When it comes to bullshit, big-time major league bullshit, you have to stand in awe of the all-time champion of false promises and exaggerated claims, religion. No contest, no contest. Religion easily has the greatest bullshit story ever told. Think about it. Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do, every minute of every day. And this invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. If you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish, where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you. He loves you. And he needs money. He always needs money. He's all-powerful, all-perfect, all-knowing, and all-wise, but somehow just can't handle money. Religion takes in billions of dollars, they pay no taxes, and they always need a little more. Now you talk about a good bullshit story, holy shit. Thank you. But I want you to know something. This is sincere. I want you to know when it comes to believing in God. I really tried. I really, really tried. I tried to believe that there is a God who created each of us in his own image and likeness, loves us very much, and keeps a close eye on things. I really tried to believe that. But I've got to tell you, the longer you live, the more you look around, the more you realize something is fucked up. Something is wrong here. War, disease, death, destruction, hunger, filth, poverty, torture, crime, corruption, and the ice capades. Something is definitely wrong. This is not good work. If this is the best God can do, I am not impressed. Results like these do not belong on the resume of a supreme being. This is the kind of bullshit you'd expect from an office temp with a bad attitude. And just between you and me, in any decently run universe, this guy would have been out on his all-powerful ass a long time ago. And by the way, I say this guy because I firmly believe, looking at these results, that if there is a God, it has to be a man. No woman could or would ever fuck things up like this. So, if there is a God, I think most reasonable people might agree that he's at least incompetent and maybe, just maybe, doesn't give a fuck. Which I admire in a person and which would explain a lot of these bad results. So rather than be just another mindless religious robot, mindlessly and aimlessly and blindly believing that all of this is in the hands of some spooky, incompetent father figure who doesn't give a fuck, I decided to look around for something else to worship. Something I could really count on. And immediately I thought of the sun. It happened like that. Overnight, I became a sun worshiper. Well, not overnight, you can't see the sun at night. The first thing the next morning, I became a sun worshiper. Several reasons. First of all, I can see the sun, okay? Unlike some other gods I could mention, I can actually see the sun. I'm big on that. If I can see something, it kind of helps the credibility along, you know? So every day I can see the sun as it gives me everything I need. Heat, light, food, flowers in the park, reflections on the lake, and occasional skin cancer. But hey, at least there are no crucifixions, and we're not setting people on fire simply because they don't agree with us. Sun worship is fairly simple. There's no mystery, no miracles, no pageantry, no one asks for money. There are no songs to learn, and we don't have a special building where we all gather once a week to compare clothing. And the best thing about the sun, it never tells me I'm unworthy. Doesn't tell me I'm a bad person who needs to be saved. Hasn't said an unkind word. Treats me fine. So I worship the sun, but I don't pray to the sun. Know why? I wouldn't presume on our friendship. It's not polite. I've often thought people treat God rather rudely, don't you? Asking trillions and trillions of prayers every day, asking and pleading and begging for favors. Do this, give me that. I need a new car, I want a better job. And most of this praying takes place on Sunday, his day off. It's not nice, and it's no way to treat a friend. But people do pray, and they pray for a lot of different things, you know. Your sister needs an operation on her crotch. Your brother was arrested for defecating in a mall. But most of all, you'd really like to fuck that hot little redhead down at the convenience store. You know, the woman with the eye patch and the club foot. Can you pray for that? I think you'd have to. And I say fine, pray for anything you want, pray for anything, but what about the divine plan? Remember that. The divine plan. A long time ago, God made a divine plan, gave it a lot of thought, decided it was a good plan, put it into practice, and for billions and billions of years, the divine plan has been doing just fine. Now you come along and pray for something. Well, suppose the thing you want isn't in God's divine plan. What do you want him to do? Change his plan just for you? Doesn't that seem a little arrogant? It's a divine plan. What's the use of being God if every rundown schmuck with a $2 prayer book can come along and fuck up your plan? And here's something else. Another problem you might have. Suppose your prayers aren't answered. What do you say? Well, it's God's will, thy will be done. Fine. But if it's God's will and he's going to do what he wants to anyway, why the fuck bother praying in the first place? Seems like a big waste of time to me. Couldn't you just skip the praying part and go right to his will? It's all very confusing. So to get around a lot of this, I decided to worship the sun. But as I said, I don't pray to the sun. You know who I pray to? Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci. 2 reasons. First of all, I think he's a good actor. To me, that counts. Second, he looks like a guy who can get things done. Joe Pesci doesn't fuck around. Doesn't fuck around. In fact, Joe Pesci came through on a couple of things that God was having trouble with. For years, I asked God to do something about my noisy neighbor with the barking dog. Joe Pesci straightened that shit out with one visit. It's amazing what you can accomplish with a simple baseball bat. So I've been praying to Joe for about a year now, and I noticed something. I noticed that all the prayers I used to offer to God and all the prayers I now offer to Joe Pesci are being answered at about the same 50% rate. Half the time I get what I want, half the time I don't. Same as God. 50/50ths. Same as the 4-leaf clover and the horseshoe, the wishing well and the rabbit's foot. Same as the mojo man. Same as the voodoo lady who tells you your fortune by squeezing the goat's testicles. It's all the same. 50/50ths. So just pick your superstition, sit back, make a wish, and enjoy yourself. And for those of you who look to the Bible for moral lessons and literary qualities, I might suggest a couple of other stories for you. You might want to look at the 3 Little Pigs. That's a good one, has a nice happy ending. I'm sure you'll like that. Then there's Little Red Riding Hood, although it does have that X-rated part where the big bad wolf actually eats the grandmother, which I didn't care for, by the way. And finally, I've often always drawn a great deal of moral comfort from Humpty Dumpty, the part I like the best. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. That's because there is no Humpty Dumpty, and there is no God. None. Not one. No God. Never was. In fact, I'm going to put it this way. If there is a God, may he strike this audience dead. See? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Everybody's okay. Alright, I'll tell you what. I'll raise the stakes. I'll raise the stakes a little bit. If there is a God, may he strike me dead. See? Nothing happened. Wait, got a little cramp in my leg and my balls hurt. Plus, I'm blind. I'm blind. Oh, now I'm okay again. Must have been Joe Pesci, huh? God bless Joe Pesci. Thank you all very much. Joe bless you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hi, the channel creator here. Let everyone know in the comments box below what you Homo sapiens and screen zombies think. And for fast to the point news and information daily, subscribe, like, share, follow, do a backflip. Getting a foothold on YouTube and Rumble is impossible without your direct participation. And for a short time, it is free and will be a lifetime free membership. You will save thousands. So time is limited. Take advantage now. Don't later go to yourself, I wish I could have gotten this great channel for free.